Hey guys, welcome back for another tutorial video. This is how to get co-op working multiplayer for Dying Light 2 and Dying Light 1. So Dead Island is still in the process, but it should work just fine for Dying Light 1 and 2. So let's go ahead and dive in. First, if you have not done the previous videos, if you haven't checked out the installation guide, that will be a better place to start if you're just starting the process of how to use the new application. I will have new videos coming out shortly that showcase and highlight what you can do with each individual tool. But for now, as I'm getting updates out based on feedback, we're just going to keep rolling. But I did want to get the multiplayer tutorial out, as this should be something that you guys can immediately start using, and hopefully this allows you guys to get in the game and start enjoying the new winter event right away. So let's go ahead and dive in. So for multiplayer, all you're going to need to do is, once you've set up a game, first you need to make sure you have a game set up through the settings. After the game is set up, you have the new multiplayer tool. Now, the purpose of this tool is to allow you to very quickly jump in and out of sessions that your other teammates or co-op partners want to create. So if you have multiple different people that actually plays the game and you want to be able to hot swap between their files and their different sessions, this tool will allow you to very easily not only host sessions for other people to join, but then also allow you to join other people's sessions that are in the Discord community. If you haven't joined the Discord community, I highly recommend jumping in there now and logging into Discord in the bottom left so that you can use this feature. So the first part of this is hosting. So a couple of things that will be filled out when you start is the host info, which basically is getting pulled in through Discord, and the next is going to be your session code. So basically what I've done is, this is a randomly generated session code that's getting tagged with your ID, so to speak. So this is actually going to be set up for your local build of this application. So in the future, when you go to host a new session, it will always use this code. If you want to, for whatever reason, reset the code, you can go into the launcher files and go into launcher data, streaming assets, and then the config. As you're setting up the different projects and installing things, this config is used, and this is the session ID. Basically, I wouldn't recommend modifying this. The goal of this is really to allow users to have a single session ID that allows you to kind of stick and update these files over time, so that you're not having to constantly update. So basically on the back end, it will update your session file as you continue to update, so that way you don't end up with 1,500 of these different things. As you find little things, fix different errors, host in the future, it will basically keep that information central so that you can use it again. Next is the visibility. So you can host a private session. So if you don't want any of this information to go to Discord, you can do that just by making sure that this stays on private. And when you press that host button, it's going to open up. So ignore the error that I get on my side. It's from some of the modding work that I've been doing. I've got a folder that's now sticking. But basically, if you've created a private session, all you need to do is actually just provide these files over to whoever wants to play with you. So you can send these files over to them via Discord or whatever means that you have for sending them files. And then they can do exactly what everybody else can do, which is in our Dying Light 2 folder, and in Dying Light, you're going to have this I Am Legion co-op folder. And inside this folder, you can now add these files to this location. So you don't need to make a folder. You don't need to do anything with it outside of just create or add this file to this folder, and it'll do the rest. Basically, what I'm going to showcase now is a couple of different hosted sessions that were found on the Discord server. So basically, to kind of showcase, once I hit host here, not only where you'll see this information, but also where you can get more other players who are playing the game with mods. So if we set this to public, we'll go ahead and hit host. And when we hit host, it's going to let us know that we've hosted on Discord. If you head over to the Discord server, you'll see under Dying Light 2, so that's the game that we've currently got selected, you'll have a new co-op session. And so what it's doing here is basically saying, you know, I've hosted out this session. Here are my files for downloading and getting the files that are on my local system. And what I would recommend is go ahead and just, you know, basically I'm starting the conversation here by saying that you've started a session. But one of the things, for example, if you wanted to immediately respond to this person, it's not going to immediately have my name associated with this. It's going to have just Discord in general. So what I recommend is, as the host, you know, make sure to jump on here and show people that you're active, that you're looking for other people to play with. So you could leave a message like, hey everyone, looking to play co-op, and just give some basic information about like your availability or whatever that is, so that other people are aware that you are trying to play co-op. And then basically all they have to do is, when they want to play co-op with you, all they need to do is you will still need to exchange your Steam ID or your Epic ID or whatever that, you know, whatever it is that you're using to play multiplayer inside the actual game. But for this leg of it, you'll have everything paired up and matched up to be able to immediately join them. So an example of this is if we go over to one of the other hosted files, we can actually just go ahead and download the different files here. So it's going to immediately open up to that Dying Light 2 I Am Legion co-op folder. Make sure it's going inside this folder, and you just hit save. And we'll go ahead and grab the other ones as well. So let's actually go ahead and download a couple of the other ones. I've recently just added a new feature where it's going to also include the game version that they hosted with. So that's crucial information for making sure that very quickly everyone is using the same version of Dying Light. That's going to save a lot of time on this kind of guessing about whether or not other people have properly got everything set up. But you can see here when I hit the refresh button, it basically converted all of those zip files into the folders as they're needed by the system to go ahead and read all that data and get everything set up in the interface. And so basically we now have everything set up to where you can see very quickly the different files that people are hosting and what they've set up so that you can join them. Again, for the newer file types, if you've just hosted a new session, it will now include the game version. This won't stop you from validating your files against them. It's just basically going to have to dig a little deeper to make sure it's a true match. So let me show you an example of this. Basically what this is doing is it's allowing you to hot swap between these sessions. So over here, we have the installed files that I've set up. I've now created a way that you can essentially add as many pack files as you want, up to that 7 limit. And when you hit host, it's gonna wrap those in. It's just basically gonna identify those as unknown pack files. In the future, I'll be having a mod manager, which will help, you know, actually catalog what's inside those zip or those pack files. But for now, they're just going to be registered as unknown pack files. So as we're going through, basically we can go to the first one and we can hit install. When I hit install, it's going to swap out the data 2 and the data 3. That's what it says is being used here. And you can see up here in the top right, we have a green heart here that says we are a match for this person. So if you've downloaded their file, you can actually just look them up on Discord and let them know, hey, I now have a match for your files. So everything is matched. If you want to play co-op, I'm available. So you can actually just go to their hosted session, say everything is ready to go, and just let them know your basic information like Steam, that kind of thing, so that you can join each other on Steam. Let's go ahead and verify another one just so you can continue to see. So if we hit install for the next one, you can see here it swapped out that information. And let's keep trying here. So let's say install on a different one. And you can see there that we've had an issue. So basically it did install, but it did find issues with that person's information. And if we click here, you can actually see that it has several things that are a mismatch. And so this is actually one of the reasons that I went ahead and set up the new version code, because based on what I'm seeing here, my guess is based on the mismatch between the data 0 and the data 1, that this player is actually using a different version of the game when they hosted. And so because of that, it goes ahead and just immediately lets us know that this is a mismatch, or it would rather, now with the new version code, it would let you know immediately, like, hey, this is just a mismatch between game versions, you can't join them. In this case, it's digging a little bit deeper and it's saying, actually, we think you could potentially join them if you fix these issues. So potentially by following these steps, you can say like, oh, hey, it didn't send out your data 6 and your data 7, can you send those to me? And then also it looks like we're playing with different game versions, so you may want to update your game before we play the game. Let's go ahead and try this last one in the row here and just see. So this last one is also set up, and I'll show you, just for demonstration purposes, I'll show you very quickly how we can kind of simulate an additional files here. So let's actually grab our data 5 and we're going to create a copy. And we'll go ahead and call this data 4. And we'll go ahead and make a copy of this, and then we'll make a data 7 as well. So these are all the mods that I want to host. I've set everything up on my system and it's ready to go. So I can go ahead and go to public. So this cancel button, basically what this is going to do is that if you've hosted a session and you've let everyone know like, hey, I want to play a session, you can inspect from there on out, you could continuously update this information on here and give them new versions if you find people that want to play that version of the game that you're playing. If you are basically done hosting and you don't have any intention on like continuing with that hosted session, you can hit that cancel button and it will add this session closed tag to this to just let people know like, hey, I was playing multiplayer from this time to this time, but I'm not really free anymore. I'm not, hosting from this point on. That could always be reopened. Really, the point of this is to just do that initial leg of hosting the files and giving you guys a place to sit there and talk about, what files you need and that kind of thing. But essentially, the whole point of this is allowing you to very quickly download those files and use the current process to hot swap that information out so that it's doing so safely. You don't have to worry about errors or bugs or transfer problems. The software is doing all that for you. So we've canceled that session. If we do a host again and we go back, you should see here that we should be, I might have to click off there, that I'm hosting a new session. So I haven't actually figured out a good way to update the same posting. So they are still individual posts. And so I am going to have to do some cleanup on here. This can get, bloated if it needs to, but we'll do some cleanup once people have said that they've closed out their sessions. But you can see here under the unknown pack files, it's now including that data 4, 5, and 7 that I just created. So downloading these files will allow you to very easily go and install that. And for demonstration purposes, I'll show you guys really quickly. We'll add this file here, and I'm basically going to give this, we'll add this file here. We're going to go over to co-op, and I'm going to change this information just like if I was someone else playing. And we'll actually, so it's 7 digits, and we'll go ahead and open this up. And we'll go to the host summary. This is where it contains all that information. And we'll go ahead and close this out and say update. And so now when I go back to the host here and hit refresh, it's going to process the new files. And you can see here now at the very end, it now has those files. So when we go back to our actual source folder here, you can see when I switch to any of these other versions, basically it's going to go over to their files and set those things up. And then if I install this new one that I just set up, it should install all of those data packs, as you can see here. So that's just a quick rundown on multiplayer. This should allow you to very quickly match your data as long as you're running through the basic steps of running the installer when you first get the launcher set up. Make sure you run the installer always if you're going to use I Am Legion. And then from there, you can basically match to any other player who's also installed I Am Legion. If you get over a certain amount of errors, it will just let you know, hey, you need to run file verification. It's excessive. You probably have a bigger issue here. And then I've also included, so one other thing, so I've also included a folder for you guys in the I Am Legion launcher data folder, streaming assets. There should be a co-op folder. I guess that's not working because I don't have a critically errored project here. So if someone came along, you did try to join someone's file, and when you click this, it basically just says like, you know, absolutely not, you need to run validation, too many errors. It will actually output it to a folder in here that says co-op, and it will actually give you a full printout of all the things that are wrong in between those two versions so that you can fix those, just so that way you're not having to read inside this interface. It gets pretty crowded very quickly. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know your feedback. Let me know how this goes. I'm super excited to see if this will allow everybody in the Dying Light community and Dead Island community to start getting back into these games, but with mods, without having to worry about going and doing all this management and updating the mods here in the near future. All right, guys, thank you so much. Happy gaming.